I grew up in a strong Christian family. My dad was a deacon elder in the church. My mom was very, very influential in my life, and she always told us Bible stories, kept us informed, kept us very much into Bible. Every Sunday we'd go to church, and it was very a religious thing to me. Everything was influenced by my parents because I did look up to them so much, and it was never a heart thing for me. And I remember I did excel at things. I didn't enjoy school. I enjoyed sports, and I turned to sports for everything. And I turned to sports hugely when my mom got cancer when I was about 12 years old. And I started playing sports. I did everything to sports, and my mom would be in treatment for cancer, and I would be at my sporting event on Saturdays. My dad and us kids having to do all the housework around the house, and I remember being in trouble at school all the time, and it was my rebellion. I don't actually remember. I've actually blacked out those 2 years when my mom was really struggling with cancer. I don't remember her. I've been told now that she would be laying on the couch, she would be sick and throwing up. All I remember is I was in trouble at school all the time. My teacher wasn't helping me. I never got to go out and play at recess because I was always in trouble sitting in the classroom, and I was probably the worst kid that there could be, and I was just excelling on. I was trying to find something to excel in, so I didn't have to face reality of what was going on at home with my mom's cancer. So I just turned to sports. I played it at home. I played it any chance I got. I went up to the gym, and it was a total escape for me. Is dealing with what was going on at home and what I could escape to and be good at, and not having to actually deal with my mom. I didn't want to have to deal with it. I didn't know how to express those emotions ever. So I just left it and went to something that felt good. My semifinals was what it was of high school state tournament. It's the biggest thing. It's what you've dreamed about, from what I dreamed about from when I was a kid. It was how I played in the backyard when I was 12, trying to ignore my mom's cancer. I was on the basketball court shooting that game-winning shot, and I got the chance to do it when I was a senior in high school. And I remember getting to stepping up and missing that shot, and the other team coming down and making their game-winning shot. I'd never had that sense of huge failure like that, and it broke me. It literally broke me. I didn't want to play the game again. I remember sitting on the bus, waiting to go home, and just wanting to go home and escape, and wanting to get away. I went to the back of the bus, and my brother Jeff came to the back of the bus and just said, "Ken, I love you, and you did well." But I never wanted that hurt again, and I didn't want to. I needed to now that same escape I had from my mom, I had to do from basketball. And I could have gone to college and university and played basketball, but I had to now escape from that, and that's when the drinking and the drugs came along. I started drinking with my friends. I decided it's okay to have a drink now, and it was a quick progression to smoking weed with different friends. And I smoked weed for about 6 months, and then that wasn't fulfilling it. I lost the excitement. It was fun that first time. You remember that first time. You remember that first time getting drunk, and it was fun that time. And then it slowly gets it's not as fun anymore. That excitement, just like in the basketball court, that excitement of hitting the game-winning shots, not there anymore. And then I did the same thing with smoking weed. Like the excitement was gone. So then I started doing mushrooms and ecstasy, and after a while that excitement was gone. So I just kept turning from drug to drug, and it ended up I I remember the first time I did cocaine and snorted the line, and then I started snorting everything. You'd snort painkillers, anything somebody gave you, it was now being chopped up. I remember getting home, and I was living on my own with a couple of flatmates, and I arrived home and I just went up to my room. I wasn't going to speak to anyone. I went up to my room, and I still had a Bible. I never looked at it, but I opened to John, I think 15:16, and it said, "The truth will set you free." And it's the first time God ever spoke to me. And I said, I have to tell my parents. But I remember sitting on the couch telling my mom and dad, and I still remember where they were sitting. Dad was sitting in the chair, on the desk chair, and my mom was sitting in the lounge suite, and I was sitting on the couch, and telling them, Mom, Dad, I have a problem, and I have no control over it. And seeing my dad sit there with nothing to say, and my mom in tears. It was probably about then 6 months later. I was sitting down in my room, had to move back in with my parents because my life was out of control, and I was living downstairs in their basement, and my mom came downstairs and said, "Turn the TV on." They turned it on to CNN, and there was a missionary from my parents' church. My mom and dad knew her parents, and she had been killed in Lebanon, just doing work for the Lord. The funeral was going to be at my parents' church, and I remember for some reason I went to the funeral. I don't know why. I didn't know this person. I could just see God orchestrated it. And I just sat there in my parents' church has pews, and I sat there in the pew and just started crying. And I had my grandma sitting next to me, and my grandma goes, "Kent, you need to go forward." And I said, "No, I'm not going to go forward." And she goes, "Kent, do you want me to go forward with you?" And I remember walking to the front of the church saying, "I need God in my life." And my grandma walking next to me, both of us in tears running down our faces. And I sit here today, and I've got the opportunity to start an orphanage that hopefully homes over 200 orphans. I have an opportunity to speak in a church. The church just keeps growing and growing, and I just see God keep using me, and all I'm doing is trying to strive after a relationship with Him. And I would never trade what I have now for anything in this world. I'd never want to go back to what I had before, because what I have now, sometimes it's difficult, but there's a joy every day. I love that God would use somebody like me that came from nothing and has turned into something beautiful in God's eyes. I love that God would risk it all and give me the opportunity to share His story with people. He's placed people in my life that have grace on me and would put me in places of leadership. I love that God puts me in charge of these little kids, that I get to get up every morning and read a Bible story to them and raise up new leaders in South Africa. And I love just how much He loves me and how much He cares about me. And I know that. Deep down I know that. And it's so exciting and so fun. And Dill wanted me to share one thing with you. We play touch every Monday, and he always wonders how I could throw the rugby ball 80 meters across the field with no effort. And dude, when you have biceps like me and you have mitts like this, it's not an issue. You should just look at me and you could tell. I'm Kent VandYacht, and this is my comeback story.